Hey sports fans, are you ready for an exhilarating gaming experience? Introducing VIPclub.lv, your ultimate online sportsbook and casino. VIPclub.lv offers a vast selection of sports, from football and basketball to tennis and baseball. Bet on your favorite teams and enjoy the thrill of the game. But that's not all. Our state-of-the-art online casino offers a dazzling array of games, including slots, blackjack, roulette, and live dealer tables. Win big with their fantastic promotions, rewards, and exclusive offers. Join VIPclub.lv today and get a generous 200% match welcome bonus to start your winning streak. And make sure to use code ECSI at sign-up. Bet it, win it, and cash it at VIPclub.lv. Visit VIPclub.lv now and play responsibly. VIPclub.lv, your sportsbook and casino extravaganza. Must be 21 or older to play. Please gamble responsibly. Visit gambleware.org for help.
Good evening, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is the Rocket Mortgage Classic with Brady Kannon on Wednesday, June 28, 2023. Shout out to our new sponsor, VIPclub.lv. Always remember, at checkout, use the promo code ECSI. Tell them JD sent you, and they will take good care of you today. Shout out to the guys behind the desk, Mr. Ben Cohen, Mr. Cade Horton, and of course, Mr. Joseph Shea. Tonight, our expert in the PGA, Mr. Brady Kannon, will be breaking down the Rocket Mortgage, where I have a bunch of questions for him from what happened last week to where we are this week. There's a name that it seems like everyone is flocking to, and usually when that happens, they're nowhere to be found. But I'm not rooting for it because this guy is so overdue to get to the winner's circle. But we'll get there when we get there. So without further ado, let's bring him in. Our expert, good friend, Mr. Brady Kannon.
How are you, sir? Great to see you on this Wednesday. And I'm sorry, I didn't let you answer there. You're doing well?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing a lot better now that you're here. How's that sound?
Talking golf. I kind of have a feeling who you're teasing there as far as the popular pick this week. And if I'm correct, I didn't land on him. But yeah, it would. I'm actually hoping. Well, let's cut to the chase here. We're talking about Ricky Fowler, right?
That is correct.
Yeah. I'm hoping Ricky Fowler wins the British Open. Now, he can win this week too, but I really hope he saves it up for a few weeks from now at Hoy Lake, Royal Liverpool, where in 2014 he finished second. I do have a ticket in my pocket on Ricky to win the British at 80-1. I bet that a few days before the U.S. Open. And after what he did at the U.S. Open, coming up just short there on Sunday, I've seen his odds chopped all the way down to 35 or 40-1. So have a nice ticket in my pocket. I think he's going to contend again. I mean, you know, what did he do last week at the Travelers? Shoot a 60, his low career round, you know, at the Birdie Fest that was TPC River Highlands last week. I mean, you just look at what this guy has done. You know, I wrote an article for golf.com this week, and I said, is it the summer of Ricky? I mean, his last three starts, he's finished top 10. He shoots 60 at the Travelers. He hasn't missed a cut in over 6 months. Or excuse me, he's missed one cut and hasn't missed one since then in over 6 months. The one cut that he missed was by just a shot at the PGA Championship, and that's the only cut he's missed all season. If you go back to last September, when Ricky was still really struggling, he hit a career low. He was ranked 185th in the official world golf rankings. And ever since then, it's been a total resurgence. He is now 35th in the official world golf rankings, is Ricky Fowler. So, yeah, I'm absolutely a big fan. I think this turnaround has been fantastic to watch, and it's just kind of hard to believe. I mean, the guy had the lead at the U.S. Open going into the final round, and, you know, just we haven't seen that thing really since about 2014. I talked about, you know, at Hoy Lake, Rory McIlroy won that year, the British Open. Ricky was second. That was the year that Ricky Fowler finished top 5 in all 4 majors. I'm hoping we get that type of Ricky again here going forward.
Going back to last weekend again, we talk here on Wednesday nights, and we're all, this is the hard day because everything that we do and you suggest is pre-flop. Now, with modern day technology, you can go in at any time, whether it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, and you can get in before they tee off, or you can just wait and go live. And then when you're watching on DraftKings, just the numbers changing and changing and changing. Last weekend was amazing. You got a local guy in Connecticut named Keegan Bradley who was sat at the top, and you had some big names right there. And I'd look at Friday, I'd look at Saturday. Okay, who's going to catch him? Who's going to catch him? Sunday, minus 125 pre-flop going into Sunday. What was your thoughts, let's say, after the cut leading into Saturday, and then your thoughts also going into Sunday?
Well, I'm kicking myself that I didn't bet him. I haven't done a whole lot of quote unquote in-game wagering this year. I've had some success. I've hit a couple, I've lost one, but I haven't done it a whole lot. But I really liked Bradley going into the weekend, and especially going into Sunday. And I just, for some reason, I didn't pull the trigger, and obviously I should have. But I wrote for the PGA Tour. I do an article for them every Friday night after the cut. And I thought the two guys that were the favorites were the way to go, Keegan Bradley and Denny McCarthy. Now, McCarthy fell off on Saturday, did come back pretty nicely on Sunday to earn himself a respectable paycheck. But Bradley never missed a beat. He shot 62, 63, 64, and then pretty much just cruised home on Sunday with a 68. And still lapped the field really in a lot of ways. The weather here was a big reason in Connecticut. They didn't fortunately get any interruptions to the play, but they did have, rain overnight, rain in the morning. It was kind of the perfect storm where it never affected the golf tournament as far as stoppages, but it did affect the scoring quite a bit because that golf course became very, very soft, and these guys were just eating it alive. And I felt, going into the weekend, Keegan Bradley and McCarthy had a 2-shot advantage. And when you're in a track meet like that, having a couple shot advantage is pretty huge because everybody's basically going low. And, it's not like they're going to shoot 3 over par or something like that. And it worked out quite nicely for Bradley. But, I think, Jeff, it's kind of the season of the birdie fest here. It kind of almost even started with the U.S. Open. I mean, what was that? 12 under was Wyndham Clark? 10 or 12? I can't remember what
he
it
got
was.
to 12, and the winner was
came back.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, Ricky Fowler opens that tournament with Xander Schauffele firing 62. That surprised the heck out of me. I couldn't believe it when they were to double digits. I think they started off on Sunday tied at 11 under par, something like that. And then you roll into the Travelers Championship where, Keegan Bradley gets it all the way to 23. Now we're at the Rocket Mortgage. This is the 5th edition of the Rocket Mortgage. The 4 prior events have had an average winning score of 23 under par. Tony Finau got to 26 last year. And then next week, we have the John Deere Classic, where over the last 13 seasons, the average winning score is 21 under par. So certainly the season for a birdie fest here. And I don't mind a birdie fest. They're fun. I think they add to the mix of the PGA Tour calendar. And, after that, we'll get to the British Open, and I imagine things will tighten up a little bit.
It's funny, too, because you hit the naysayers, that they can't turn on the golf when it's a birdie fest. And they're the same ones that complain that the U.S. Open rough's too high and that, there's only 2 people that are under par. You can't win here. I think it's good in between majors to, kind of get out there, grip it and rip it, and just go out there and then, shoot some of these low scores. And you hear a few people complaining, but I think I'm going to follow up with you. I agree. You need this kind of back-to-back in the middle of a season. Kind of, if you're a little off, because my next guy that I'm going to talk about is a must, kind of found something over the weekend.
Well, no, I agree with you. I think it's fun. I don't mind a birdie fest. It would not, I would agree with some of the naysayers that it would not be fun every week in and week out, but we don't get that. But yeah, you get some of these. I mean, it's fun to watch these guys hit shots and roll putts. And no, I don't mind one here and there. And it always kind of seems like we get them, midsummer where, the guys are, the pits are sweating and the sweat's down their back and, down their rear end and everything. That's Midwestern golf in the summertime on the PGA Tour.
Another stellar effort by Mr. Scheffler. I mean, is this guy, I guess it's funny. There's a few people on social media, that will talk the talk, but if you blindly played this guy top 5 and top 10 every week, you're cashing every week.
Oh, you're making a killing. I want to say it's one time this season he's finished, outside of the top 15 or something like that.
I think it was 12.
12. Yeah, right. Just an absolutely ridiculous record. I think it's 5 weeks in a row that he's finished top 5. And he's doing it all, most recently anyway, with a bulky putter. He's still finishing second, third, fourth, top 5 and losing strokes to the field with his putter. We talked about it, Jeff. What he is doing tee to green is truly Tiger-esque. He is on that type of pace. I was on a show last night, CBS Overnight Sports Radio with Amy Lawrence, and she said, who's the star in the game right now? And I said, I think it's Scotty Scheffler. Despite his putting woes, the guy is absolutely magical. And boy, if he ever starts holing a few putts, he's going to run away with some of these deals.
It's our time for our weekly check-in. Mr. Plus 5,000 2 weeks ago found something over the weekend, and I felt really, really good for Justin Thomas. He finally started scoring, and I'm looking at DraftKings right now, only plus 2,000, plus 450 top 5, plus 240 top 10. A perfect segue to this week. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to dive in, but you had to at least like what you saw over the weekend from Justin Thomas.
Yeah, but don't be misled. Now, one thing, a real positive, is he was absolutely spot on with his irons. And we know, going back the last 5 years or so on tour, the number one iron players in the game have pretty much been Justin Thomas and Colin Morikawa. Now, Morikawa has certainly taken over while JT has fallen off here recently, but he was absolutely spot on at TPC River Highlands. He ranked second in the field for strokes gained approach. So that was certainly a positive, but he was still very errant off the tee. He's normally a great scrambler. His scrambling wasn't great, and he didn't putt all that well. So the game still has some loose ends for sure, but he definitely dialed in the irons last week. And like you say, was able to put some scores up there and have a positive week, finish top 10 even, I believe. I think he was tied for 9th. But I'm not ready to jump back on his train just yet, Jeff, because, there were certainly some areas where he was a little bit sloppy last week. And let's be honest, it was a pretty darn easy golf course. Now he's going to have another very easy golf course here this week. And, I think it would be a mistake to say he's going to go out and miss the cut. I imagine he'll be able to, continue that iron play somewhat, maybe improve upon the off the tee game and around the greens and whatnot. But most importantly, I'm not ready to back him for a major championship just yet, because I think there are still some pretty noticeable flaws in the game.
Looking at the board, and this is a fun board because, as we like to say, this is not an elevated event. So as you said, the top of the cream of the crop is not here. I'm looking at DraftKings. Tony Finau 14-1, Ricky Fowler 14-1, Colin Morikawa 14-1, Hideki 16-1, Max Homer 18-1, Tom Kim, defending champ, plus 2,000, JT at 2,000, Sung J M 2,200, Keegan Bradley 2,800. And before I give you the fairway to go ahead with your picks, here's a name that they talked about early this week. I know nothing about this gentleman, yet he's 35-1. Ludwig Aberg.
Ludwig Aberg. He's from Sweden, and I had a feeling you were going there. He is getting an awful lot of buzz this week, and he did not make my card. I'm not ready to go there just yet. In fact, we'll get to it. I actually have a head-to-head matchup where I went against him because I think there is a little bit too much love. Now, like I say, he's from Sweden. He was rated the #1 amateur in the world before he turned pro. He's had a tremendous amateur career, and he bangs the ball. He is certainly a bomber, and we've seen bombers win here. All 4 editions of the Rocket Mortgage have really won by a big hitter, a couple really big hitters. Tony Finau last year, Bryson DeChambeau, Cam Davis out of Australia is a real big hitter, and then Nate Lashley, who's a pretty decent size. I mean, a pretty much of a bomber, but he's probably drawing the short straw out of those other guys. The point is, though, that big hitters have fared well here. And I also want to say in the same breath, let's not throw away the shorter knockers here. You've had a lot of guys contend that don't really bomb the ball. Alex Noren, Adam Hadwin, Troy Merritt. So there are some shorter hitters here that can absolutely get in the mix. But what we've seen so far out of this tournament is the bombers prevail. And Aberg is definitely one of those. So it feels to me like a lot of people are trying to jump on this new guy and get him, before his odds are chopped. And I think his odds are already chopped. I mean, you said 35. That's crazy. The people I've seen have been getting him at 50, and I'm not even sure if 50 is the right number. Maybe it's 60 or 75. But it feels like people are kind of rushing to the window to get a jump on this guy before he does go on to win. I'm sure he'll win here pretty soon, but it might be 2 or 3 years. This stuff doesn't necessarily just happen overnight, even though I think he is, a guy that has a great chance to head towards stardom.
Well, the fairway's yours. It's going to be a great, great tournament. Again, it's one of those where we're not looking at do we dive in at a 5 or 6 to 1? They're giving you a lot of meat on the bone. There's a lot of good golfers grouped together. So I see a lot of value in a lot of places. So I can't wait to see where you ended up.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different ways you could go this week, Jeff. And, we talk about a birdie fest and the bombers and the short knockers. I think you can really grab a winner from just about anywhere here. I mean, Nate Lashley was like 250 to 1. Cam Davis, I think, was around 100 to 1. And then, Bryson DeChambeau was about 7 to 1, and Tony Finau was like 12 to 1. So, as evidenced, it can kind of come from anywhere, the short shots or the long shots. And I added a little bit of everything this week, more so mid-range and long shots, and just one short shot. And that's where I'll start. I went with Hideki Matsuyama, and I got a good number on him at 20 to 1. He's really efficient off the tee. And what you have here is you've got wide fairways. So driving distance is going to help. There's not much rough to speak of, but the fairways are wide, and these guys are going to be able to find the short grass pretty easily. And then it's going to come down to approach play and putting. And most of your approach shots this week are going to fall into a window of 75 to 150 yards. And Hideki Matsuyama is one of the very best in the field from that window. Now, the putting can be a problem, but, he's a very streaky putter. And probably his best surface is bent grass. Now, these are primarily Poa annua greens with bent grass blended in. But Hideki's been playing very well. He just finished 13th at the Travelers. He hasn't missed a cut, I don't believe, since the Players' Championship. So I liked him at 20 to 1 as obviously one of the real class players in this field. Stefan Yager, I got at 64 to 1. He's more of the bomber role here. He is 25th in this field for strokes gained off the tee the last 36 rounds, 36th in strokes gained approach, 28th for birdies or better gained. And I think that's what you're going to have to do. Find the fairway, hit tight approach shots, and make birdies. I think we will have another birdie fest on our hands. And I think you're going to see guys shoot 63, 62, and who knows, we may have somebody flirt with 59 again, like we did last week at the Travelers. The correlated courses I used were TPC Craig Ranch, where for the last few years they've played the Byron Nelson, Port Royal, where they play the Bermuda Championship, Silverado, where they play the Fortinet in Napa, and then also Memorial Park, where they've played the Houston Open the last few years. And Stefan Jager, by the way, finished 5th here last year at the Rocket Mortgage. He's got an 11th at the Byron Nelson, a top 20 in Bermuda, and a top 10 in Houston. And then the Englishman, Aaron Rai, at 64-1. He's been really, I mean, not to the level of Scotty Scheffler, but he has been spot on tee to green. And it's as evidenced by some of the statistics here. Over the last 36 rounds, he is 4th in this field for good drives gained and 6th in this field for strokes gained approach. So really getting it done tee to green. Also 8th in hole proximity from 125 to 150 yards. Alex Smalley also at 64-1. He's been in very good form as of late, comes off of a top 10 finish at the Travelers last week. And in 3 of his last 4 starts, he has finished top 25. This guy is also, or excuse me, 3 of his last 6 starts, he's finished top 25. So he comes in playing pretty well. He's also got a 4th and a 15th in Houston, an 11th and a 12th in Bermuda. And this is kind of an interesting one. We talk about birdie fests. Over the last 36 rounds on easier courses, Alex Smalley is 6th in this field for strokes gained total. So he likes these easy course birdie fest type deals. Chris Kirk at 69-1. Now, Chris Kirk has missed his last 3 cuts in a row. So the form is not perfect, but I think he can get right here at this golf course. He's played here 3 times. He's finished 17th, 12th, and 21st. And what I love about this guy, Jeff, you talk about the yardages from 75 to 150. From 75 to 100 yards, he is 2nd in the field for hole proximity. From 100 to 125, he is 1st. And from 125 to 150, he is 3rd. So, I mean, in that window, he is dialing in the short irons and the wedges. That is over the last 36 rounds. So, I mean, if he can continue that type of play, he ought to have a good week here. And then finally, my longest bomb, I went triple digits here, 111-1 on Ryan Palmer. And this is another guy that likes a birdie fest. I talked about Alex Smalley being 6th in this field for strokes gained total on easy courses. Ryan Palmer is 20th in this field in that same category. He's 21st over his last 36 rounds in birdies or better gained. He's 11th in strokes gained approach, and he's also got an 8th place finish and a 5th place finish in Houston. So, you know, kind of sprinkled a little bit all over the board there. There's a lot of other guys that I've seen people on this week, and all of them are hard to argue with because, like I say, I think this is a pretty wide open tournament. We just hope we landed on one of the right ones.
I love the Ryan Palmer play. I was wondering if you were going to get to him. I don't know. He's got a spot, and I play him, you know, if I dabble in the dailies, you know, over on DraftKings once in a while, I always find a way to stick him in on occasion. I haven't cashed a big
lot of birdies. He loves a birdie fest. He's always really good in Texas. I think he could, you know, again, when everybody's going low, I think he could be one of the guys here.
And I love the Matsu up top. I again, the iron play 75 to 150, and you got him at 20-1. You got a hell of a price there. So, and you know, the 64s, I can't wait. Like I said, this is a tournament where, you know, you might not get a 61, 62 to start, but you know, you're in the, you know, 66, 68s, and then you get your, you know, get it going as the tournament progresses. You're never going to be out of it, I think, in this tournament.
Yeah, you know, I think there's a lot of guys in that 40-1 to 65-1, that range, that mid-price range, that I've seen a lot of different people on this week. You know, there's probably almost 30 guys in that range, and you can probably make a good argument for 20 of them. Now, obviously, I've landed on, you know, 4 of them here, and we hope one of them's right. You can't choose the whole board, but I think there's a lot of players this week in that price range that could have a good week.
What next? Do you want to go to the head-to-heads, or would you rather first-round leaders?
Well, I can do both of them for you here.
Okay.
The head-to-heads, just real quick, I've got just 2 of them. I actually played both of these guys outright and also played them in a full tournament head-to-head. Alex Smalley at -105 over Taylor Moore, and I've seen that price raise a little bit to maybe -115 or so. He's become the favorite in that matchup, which I'm still okay with. I wouldn't want to lay more than -115. And then Chris Kirk at even money over our guy Ludwig Aberg. Chris Kirk at even money, an underdog there to the newer tour rookie here from Sweden. And, as I mentioned in my outright description there, Kirk is just so good from those approach distances, the best in the field from 75 to 150. And if he can find that groove this week, he could win the whole darn thing. And then first round leader, I actually went with Chris Kirk again at 55 to 1. I mentioned what he's done here in 3 trips to Detroit in the past, a 17th, a 12th, and a 21st. He's also had 5 rounds this season, 5 opening rounds this season in which he's gained 3 or more strokes on the field, and twice in where he gained 5 or more strokes on the field. So he's had occasions this season where out of the gate in that first round where he's gone really low and really stepped on the rest of the field. Also at 55 to 1, I went with another guy that I have on the outright card, and that is Stefan Jager. I mentioned he was 5th at the Rocket Mortgage last year. He opened with a 67, but he did also shoot a 65 on Saturday. Since January, like Chris Kirk, he also has 5 rounds that have gained 3 or more strokes on the field in that opening Thursday, with 2 of those being 5 or more strokes gained on the rest of the field, the same as Chris Kirk. So both of these guys have shown earlier in the season that they've been able to get out to a quick start. And then finally, lastly, I went with a putting specialist. And this guy does not necessarily have a history of getting out to a fast start, but I couldn't ignore his approach play and his putting statistics. And when you look at a first round leader, when you're doing the handicap and breaking it down, your first round leaders, where they will excel almost across the board, almost every single first round leader is going to be excellent on approach and excellent in putting. You do those 2 things well for one day, and you're going to get out in front. And Christian Bezuidenhout, the South African, at 66 to 1. Over the last 36 rounds, he ranks 5th in this field for strokes gained approach and 7th for strokes gained putting on that Poana bent grass blend. So that for me was just like, boy, it's hard to look past this guy. You have to have a hot putter to be a first round leader, and anybody can get hot with the putter for one day. Whether you're the worst putter in the world or the best putter in the world can go absolutely cold for one round. Putting is very volatile, but Bezuidenhout, he's got the approach play. He's got the putter. So I took a shot with him. He's also 38th on the PGA Tour in avoiding bogeys. And that's something you have to do to be a first round leader as well. No bogeys on the card if you're planning on being the first round leader, especially in a birdie fest.
Kirk and Bezo would definitely be on my card. I'm big fans there as well. You talked about next week, the John Deere, correct?
Correct. The John Deere Classic, and it's, I like the Travelers. I think the Travelers is a fun tournament. I think this Rocket Mortgage is going to be fun. The John Deere isn't always as fun for me. But I'll tell you one thing that's really cool. It has some of the greatest fan support on the entire PGA Tour calendar. These people come out in droves. I believe it's the Silvis, Illinois, kind of that Four Corners area there where they play this event. And this has been one of the greatest supported tournaments for decades on the PGA Tour. And it always kind of takes a backstage, to the bigger events. And sometimes people laugh about the John Deere, Birdie Fest, this and that and the other. But it is one of the hidden gems on the PGA Tour as far as fan support, sponsorship. It is a really well-supported event. And that's a great positive about the John Deere. I don't find it always the most exciting to watch, like I say, but it is pretty cool to see these people from the heart of the country here get so excited about this golf tournament.
So we had the John Deere next weekend, and then 1 week. Then
well, it's a great setup, and they started this last year. If you recall, always prior to the British Open is the Scottish Open.
Okay,
right
there it is. Yes.
And now this will be the second year that they've made it an official part of the PGA Tour rotation. It's kind of a collaborative event between the DP World Tour and the PGA Tour. This will, like I say, will be the second time they've done this. So it's officially on the PGA Tour schedule, is the Scottish Open, that tune-up before we get to Hoy Lake. So we go John Deere, then we go across the pond to the Scottish Open. That ought to be a tremendous field. You know, all the guys that are in the British are probably going to want to play there and kind of get acclimated. And then we go to the final major of the year, Glory's last shot, Jeff. I always thought that was one of the greatest phrases that unfortunately they got rid of. If you remember, the PGA or the PGA Championship used to be the final major of the year. And I can remember Ernie Johnson on TNT, Glory's last shot. And for some reason they got rid of it. But I still say it. Glory's last shot is now in the form of the British Open.
I love it. I love it. The scroll has been going the whole time. Please go follow Brady at Las Vegas Golfer, at GolfBet, at PGA Tour, Sports Grid. Go check them out on Heat Strokes Pod. Go over to YouTube and please subscribe to Heat Strokes Pod. Tonight, 10:15, I assume Sports Grid TV with Harrison and Scott, correct?
Absolutely, my friend. We will be there for our usual Wednesday time slot. We'll preview the Rocket Mortgage just like we have here. And maybe between now and then, I can find a few more nuggets to drop on you.
Well, I can't wait. Best of luck this weekend, obviously. And then next week, we'll get ready for the John Deere. And then I can't believe in 2 weeks, the last major. And before you know, we'll be talking FedEx Cup and a thing called pigskin football or something like that.
Oh
my God.
What is that odd shaped ball they play with? It always happens in the fall. But no, it's starting to get to that time of year, Jeff, where I'm really starting to get excited about the British Open, the Open Championship, whatever you want to call it. And I'm sure I said this on your show back in April. When you ask me what my favorite major is in April, I always say the Masters. If you ask me the same question in July, I say the British. I mean, it's my wife's favorite 4 days of the year because I sleep on the couch all night and watch golf, live golf at 2:00 in the morning. And there's always that weird transition. When do I switch from beer to coffee? It's just a wonderful event. So
23 minutes, myself and Scott Webb. We'll talk some MLB baseball. For myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, the one, the only Mr. Brady Kannon at Las Vegas Golfer. We wish everyone a blessed evening. Best of luck in our golf this week, and we will see you soon.